Hello, my amazing learners, and welcome back to the Wisdom English podcast. Today, we're going to talk about a common frustration for English learners. Do you ever feel like your brain takes a long time to process thoughts in English, making it hard for you to formulate your responses in real time? This can cause you to speak more slowly than you'd like, which can be really frustrating when you're trying to keep up with others in a conversation. The exercises that I'm going to share with you in this podcast have not only helped me achieve faster rates of speech in the languages I've learned, but they've also helped thousands of my students transform their ability to think and speak faster while still maintaining clarity. And make sure you stay with me until the very end, because I'll reveal the simple secret that makes all of these other strategies truly effective. The first question we'll address is, Sarah, how do I speak faster? To speak faster, I have three main thoughts on this. The first thing is, you've got to improve the mechanics. You've got to improve the hardware. You've got to improve your mouth's ability to speak faster. And this means that you need to be able to learn and practice tongue twisters. Technique 1. Tongue twisters. Tongue twisters are beautiful because they help improve your articulation. And as you improve your articulation, you'll be able to speak faster because you'll start to develop the muscle strength in your lips and in your tongue. You'll start to learn the efficient movements you need to make within your mouth to be able to speak more quickly. And the way you do this is simple. You can go to Google or any search engine and find a list of common English tongue twisters. Then, what you want to do is read one tongue twister 5 times. Okay? So you don't just read one tongue twister once. You read it 5 times. But each time you read it in the 5 times, you get faster and faster and faster. And again, what you're training yourself to do there is not just to speak more quickly without clarity. Tongue twisters are designed in a way where they kind of trip you up, right? So if you try to read it too quickly before you have good articulation, you'll just mumble and you won't be able to say it. And again, what that does is it enhances your articulation ability while you're building the ability to speak faster. And what does that mean? It means that you can now speak more quickly while having complete clarity. You'll notice this in some people. For example, I can now speak pretty quickly with great articulation. And as a result of that, even though I speak quickly, you can still understand me perfectly fine. Whereas for a lot of people, when they speak really quickly, all of a sudden, you can't understand what they're saying. And then it just sounds like they're mumbling. The reason is because the articulation in those moments is really poor. Technique 2. Timed reading. Now, the second thing that I would recommend is looking for a 300-word story or article in English. So, you'll look for a 300-word text, and you'll grab it, and you'll start reading it, and you'll stop at the 1-minute mark. All right? So you just get a timer, you press start on the timer, and then you just read the story out loud. And then, once it gets to 1 minute, you stop. And then, you mark in the story where you've stopped, and you count how many words you were able to read. Now, once you've done this, you will essentially get your average rate of speech per minute. So, the first time you read it, you might think, oh wow, I got to about 100 words per minute. Cool, great, no worries. That's just where you currently are. Now, the next time you do this, I want you to start adding an extra 10 words to that average speaking rate. So, you'll want to get to 110 words. So, you'll read a little bit faster. And then the next time you do it, you'll start your timer and then you'll read with a little bit more speed. And you'll do it and you'll think, oh wow, I got to 120 words per minute. Great. And then the next time you do it, you'll try to get to 140 words, 150 words, 160 words. And this is how you can intentionally practice your rate of speech. and you can literally measure your progress. And if you find yourself struggling, if you can't get past 120 words, then I want you to sit and reflect. What's stopping you from being able to do that? And you might find that your mouth can't keep up. Okay, then it's back to the tongue twister activities. Technique 3. Breath control. Now, the third thing is breath control. The most common problem when it comes to speaking speed is when you have poor breath control. The key area that people suffer in, that causes them to speak more slowly, is that they're expelling too much breath per word. So, if I'm too breathy when I speak, it forces me to slow down because I have to take more breaths. For example, if I'm using lots of breath per word, I might say, "Hi everyone, I just want to be able to share with you a few thoughts that I have." Notice how I'm very breathy, and I have to keep stopping for air. You want to control the amount of breath that's escaping your mouth. Here's the cool thing that happens when you have good breath control. If I take a deep breath now, and I really control the amount of breath that's coming out, and I support each word with just the right amount of breath, I'm able to speak for an extended period of time without taking another breath. One of the things you should practice if you want to get really good at breath control is just taking a deep breath and making an S sound. So you take a deep breath and you make an S sound until you run out of air. And you go like this. And you go for as long as you possibly can. That's mimicking good breath support. It's mimicking the right amount of air you want to expel while you're speaking. The more advanced one I want to add on here for you as well is you can also practice counting in the same way with one breath. For example, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20, 21. Notice what I'm doing here. I'm giving every single number the exact same amount of breath, and I'm energizing every single number that I count with the exact same amount of energy. The biggest mistake that most people make is that they start really breathy, and then they start to strain their voice. For example, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, and then you get that croaky voice at the end of it. It's called vocal fry. But if you energize every single word in the sentence, including the last one, it allows you to speak more quickly, but to do so in a way that's influential and engaging. Now, let's move on to the second part of the question, which is, how can I think more quickly? Now, this is a loaded one too, because there are so many different ways in which you can think more quickly. But I'll give you my top 3 thoughts. Strategy 1. Seek to understand, not memorize. The first overall thought that I want to share with you is this. Seek to understand, not just memorize your area of expertise. For a lot of you, you're in a professional setting and you might think, sometimes it takes me a long time to formulate my answer and then all of a sudden, it seems like I don't know what I'm talking about. This is a question people often ask me, how can I think quicker on this particular area? It often comes from people who are fairly new to an area of expertise, fairly new to a job, or fairly new to an industry. When you fully and deeply understand something, you're not having to think, wait, what was the answer for this again? You don't have to go into that part of your brain where it's all about memory retrieval. If you want to become quicker at being able to answer people's questions, you need a deeper understanding of that topic. You can achieve that by getting 3 books on that topic and going deeper. If you are in real estate, for example, maybe you should go and grab 5 books and understand more about property development. Get really good with what the local rules are, the tax benefits, and how to work with banks, builders, and contractors. Again, just really download all that information and get a really good understanding and depth on it. Strategy 2. Use frameworks. Then, once you've got that deep understanding, the second thing you need to learn is frameworks. Frameworks on how to communicate your area of expertise. Frameworks on how to communicate complex things. And one of the most important frameworks you can learn is the 3-2-1 framework. The 3-2-1 framework is very simple. There are 3 steps, there are 2 types, or there's the one thing. So when someone asks you a question, you can think in that framework. You could either pick, there are 3 steps to what you just asked me, or there are 2 types of what you just asked me, or the one thing about what you just asked me is, I'll give you an example. This happens to me often because people will sometimes ask me a very loaded question. They'll say, Sarah, what should I do to improve my communication skills? And that's a loaded question because there are so many things you can do. But instead of my brain going, oh my God, there are so many things you can do. Do I talk about breath work? Do I talk about articulation? Do I talk about tonality? Do I talk about storytelling? Do I talk about body language? Instead of allowing my brain to go through a meltdown, I just pick one of the 3 in that framework. So again, I'm just going to pick the one thing. And I'll say to that person, hey, the one thing you should focus on as you begin your journey is self-awareness. You need to be able to become more aware of your non-functional behaviors. So, all I would get you to do is record a video of yourself and watch yourself back. Start there. I was able to answer that question in a moment with depth and clarity, and also in a way that is simple and coherent. And then, if the person wants more, they can ask follow-up questions. Whereas a lot of the time, experts feel they have to give the other person everything. No. The goal is to be able to use the 3-2-1 framework to answer the question. Strategy 3. Reduce anxiety and stress. And then the final thing I would say that's going to be able to help you think faster is to reduce your levels of anxiety and stress. Because when you are anxious and you're stressed, it impairs your ability to think clearly. And if you know you're going to be going into a situation that's going to cause you to be stressed and also cause you to feel lots of anxiety, then you need to make sure you prepare. Make sure that before you go into it, part of your prep work is breathing. And I know every time I say this, people think, oh my God, breathing is so lame. No, you're alive because of breathing. The first thing that I want to make you aware of is diaphragmatic breathing. If you don't know how to take a diaphragmatic breath, I highly encourage you to go and look it up on YouTube. There are countless videos out there that teach you how to take a belly breath in, instead of taking shallow breaths into your chest. Now, if you know you're going into a situation that's going to cause you to be anxious, here's what you do. Box breathing. Box breathing is this beautiful breathing technique that the Navy SEALs came up with. And box breathing is essentially this. You fully release all the air. Then, after that, you breathe in for 4 counts, you hold for 4 counts, you breathe out for 4 counts, and you hold for 4 counts. That's one cycle. If you do 3 to 5 cycles of that, it will decrease your level of anxiety, which allows you to have a clearer mind, which then enables faster thinking. The final secret. We have explored so many ways to train our brains and our mouths to think and speak faster in English. We've talked about the mechanics of speaking, improving your articulation with tongue twisters, measuring and increasing your speaking speed with timed reading, and mastering your breath control. And we've also talked about the cognitive side of things, the importance of deep understanding over simple memorization, using frameworks like the 3-2-1 rule to structure your thoughts, and reducing anxiety with breathing techniques. And now, for the secret I promised at the beginning, the single most important secret that ties all of these strategies together is this. Thinking faster and speaking faster are not two separate skills. They are one. You train your brain by training your mouth, and you train your mouth by training your brain. They must be practiced together. You cannot improve one without the other. Every time you practice a tongue twister, you are not just improving your articulation, you are making your brain work faster to send the signals to your mouth. Every time you use a framework to structure your thoughts, you are not just thinking more clearly. You are also making it easier for yourself to speak more fluently. So, my challenge to you is this. For the next week, I want you to choose just one mechanical exercise and one cognitive exercise from today's podcast. Maybe you'll practice tongue twisters for 5 minutes and also try the 3-2-1 framework on a question from a friend. Practice them together. Notice how improving your speaking helps you think faster, and how thinking more clearly helps you speak faster. Please like, share, and subscribe to the Wisdom English podcast channel to watch our next videos.